Proceed with exposure. Subject is not to be informed of the nature of the test. The memo is dated July 16, 1945. The sun hasn't risen yet over the New Mexico desert at approximately 33.677 degree N, 106.475 degree W. The wind is still. The air smells like metal and dust. In less than 2 hours, at 5:29:45 a.m., the Trinity test will detonate the first atomic bomb in human history. But this isn't just about the explosion, it's about what happened before it, and what happened after. Because throughout modern history, there have been experiments, state-funded, university-backed, scientifically rationalized, that crossed a line so completely, they still echo decades later. 5 of them stand out, not because they failed, but because they succeeded, in producing data, in producing results, in proving that progress without ethics can become something else entirely. This is not fiction. These are documented, filed, signed, and in some cases, deliberately destroyed. And at the end of this story, you'll understand why some truths were buried for decades. The first experiment begins in Macon County, Alabama, at approximately 32.3668 degree N, 86.2999 degree W. The date is September 12, 1932. The Great Depression has hollowed out the American South. Sharecroppers are desperate. Medical care is scarce. The United States Public Health Service announces a study on bad blood. 600 black men, 399 with syphilis and 201 without, are recruited. They are promised free medical exams, free meals, and burial insurance. They are never told they have syphilis. They are never told that penicillin, proven effective by 1943, could cure them. The study continues until 1972, 40 years. Dr. Taliaferro Clark initiated it. Dr. Raymond Vonderlehr oversaw much of its execution. Nurse Eunice Rivers was the primary liaison with participants. Men were allowed to deteriorate. Some went blind, some went insane, some died, wives were infected, children were born with congenital syphilis. The Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male was exposed by Associated Press reporter Gene Heller on July 25, 1972. Public outrage followed. In 1973, the study was terminated. In 1997, President Bill Clinton issued a formal apology at the White House, but the damage was generational. The psychological wound runs deeper than the physical one. Trust in medical institutions fractured, and it never fully healed. The second experiment unfolds in Harbin, Manchuria at approximately 45.75 degree N, 126.63 degree E. The date is 1936. The facility is Unit 731. Under the command of General Shiro Ishii, the Imperial Japanese Army constructs a biological warfare laboratory disguised as a water purification unit. Inside, prisoners, Chinese civilians, Koreans, Soviet POWs, are infected with plague, cholera, anthrax. They are vivisected alive without anesthesia. Limbs are frozen for frostbite studies. Women are forcibly impregnated to study disease transmission. Between 1936 and 1945, thousands die inside the Pingfang complex. On August 6, 1945 and August 9, 1945, atomic bombs fall on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Japan surrenders. Instead of prosecution, many Unit 731 scientists negotiate immunity in exchange for data. Declassified U.S. Army records in RG 331 confirm intelligence officials valued the research. Shiro Ishii dies in 1959. Never tried. The third experiment is smaller in scale, but no less chilling. The date: August 3, 1971. Location: Jordan Hall, Stanford University. 450 Jane Stanford Way, Stanford, California. Approximately 37.4275 degree N, 122.1697 degree W. Professor Philip Zimbardo converts a basement into a mock prison. 24 college students are randomly assigned roles as guards or prisoners. The study is supposed to last 2 weeks. It lasts 6 days. Within 48 hours, guards begin humiliating prisoners. Sleep deprivation, forced nudity, psychological degradation. Prisoners exhibit signs of acute stress, anxiety, emotional breakdown. Zimbardo terminates the experiment early on August 9, 1971. The Stanford prison experiment becomes a landmark in psychology. It also becomes a warning. The experiment didn't involve physical torture. It revealed something else: how quickly ordinary individuals adopt cruelty when authority legitimizes it. The fourth experiment takes place at the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, Canada, at 1025 Pine Avenue West, approximately 45.5038 degree N, 73.5794 degree W. The years 1957 to 1964. The psychiatrist, Dr. Donald Ewan Cameron, funded in part by the CIA under Project MKUltra. Cameron attempts to depattern patients. Electroconvulsive therapy administered at up to 30 times the normal power. LSD administered in high doses. Patients placed in drug-induced comas for weeks. Recorded messages played on loop, sometimes over 500,000 times, intended to rebuild personality. Many patients entered seeking help for anxiety or postpartum depression. They left unable to recognize family members. The CIA funded the research through a front called the Society for the Investigation of Human Ecology. Declassified CIA documents released in 1977 confirmed financial backing. The human mind became a test subject. The fifth experiment begins in the desert again. But this time it's not 1945. It's 1950. Location? Dugway Proving Ground, Utah, approximately 40.1986 degree N, 113.1482 degree W. The U.S. Army conducts open-air biological tests. On September 15, 1968, over 6,000 sheep die in Skull Valley, Utah, following a nerve agent test involving VX. The Army initially denies responsibility. Later investigations confirm exposure. Earlier, in 1950, the U.S. Navy conducts Operation Sea Spray, releasing Serratia marcescens bacteria into the air over San Francisco to study dispersal patterns. Residents were never informed. Several individuals developed rare infections. The justification? National security. The pattern emerges. Each experiment had a rationale. Public health. Wartime advantage. Scientific advancement. Behavioral research. National defense. The language is always clinical, detached, but the consequences are human. The climax isn't a single event. It's the realization that these experiments weren't accidents. They were approved, funded, institutional. Tuskegee wasn't rogue doctors. It was federal oversight. Unit 731 wasn't a hidden cult. It was state policy. Stanford wasn't a fringe lab. It was one of the most prestigious universities in the United States. MKUltra funding wasn't stolen cash. It was allocated. Dugway wasn't sabotage. It was official testing. The dark truth is this: the greatest scientific atrocities of the modern era did not occur in secret caves or underground bunkers alone. They occurred in respected institutions, under fluorescent lights, on official letterhead, signed by men who believed they were serving progress. Why were these cases buried? Because they threaten a comforting narrative. We like to believe evil is obvious. Obvious villains. Obvious monsters. But in each case, the individuals involved justified their actions. Dr. von der Leer believed the Tuskegee study provided valuable longitudinal data. Shiro Ishii believed biological weapons would secure Japan's future. Donald Cameron believed he was curing mental illness. Military officials believed testing dispersion patterns could prevent biological attacks. Zimbardo believed he was revealing truths about authority. Intent does not erase impact. And once exposed, each institution responded the same way at first: denial, minimization, redaction. Only under public pressure did accountability follow. Even then, it was partial. Compensation, apologies, policy reforms. But no experiment can be undone. The wind still moves across the fields in Macon County. The Ping-Fang complex stands as a museum in Harvard. Stanford's basement is no longer a prison. Allen Memorial Institute still operates. Dugway Proving Ground remains active. The buildings persist. The data remains open. And the legacy lingers in something harder to measure: distrust. Every time a government announces a classified program, echoes of these experiments whisper in the background. The final chilling realization is not that these experiments happened in the past. It's that the mechanisms that allowed them still exist. Bureaucracy, secrecy, fear, ambition. The 5 experiments should have never happened, but they did. Not because science is evil, but because science without accountability can become a weapon. The next time you hear about a breakthrough hidden behind classified doors, remember how many times history said it was for the greater good, and ask yourself who defines that.